Along with Ross Tucker, I'm Scott Graham. With insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or go to Progressive.com. One of the bright stories of the early part of the season, the Indianapolis Colts at 3-0 go to L.A. to take on the Rams off that frustrating loss to the Eagles. They're 2-1. Ross, Rigoberto Sanchez, the punter for the Indianapolis Colts, has punted once this year. Just taking a deep dive, he's earned $442,000 in game checks this season and has punted once.
I don't know if you heard or watched any of my game on Sunday, Scott, for CBS, but we showed him in the first quarter, after the end of the first quarter, when the Colts still hadn't punted. And I'm a big fan of the movie Office Space. And I said, what exactly would you say it is that you do here to Rigoberto Sanchez? And then the streak broke and he had to punt midway through the second quarter. I don't even know that I realized that they didn't punt again the rest of the game. Probably not the best look for the Titans, but a terrific look for the Colts. Their offense is a machine right now. I mean, the O-line looks terrific. Jonathan Taylor is the best running back in football that I've seen so far this year. Certainly they have the tight end and Warren, the receivers. I don't know that the defense is great, but they've been good enough with Daniel Jones operating at this high of a level. And they're playing against a Rams team that is the one that they're going to want back. You know, if they don't win the division, there's so many different ways they should have won that game in Philadelphia. And quite frankly, when you have a veteran quarterback like Stafford and what's considered an elite coach like McVay, it's stunning that the Rams lost that game. I think they bounced back. I think this is an awesome game. Be curious how many Colts fans made the trip out to L.A.
Titans are offensively challenged. They are 0-3. They are 2-11 inside their division since 2023. Now they go on the road to take on, Ross, the Houston Texans. 0-3, playing a home game. Very rarely in week 4 can you say must-win game. This is must-win game for Houston.
I would agree with that. And I'll be on the call for this one for CBS. So back-to-back Titans for me. These teams have the most third and longs in the NFL, the most pre-snap penalties. Both offensive lines are struggling. Tell you what I'm not expecting in this one. A lot of points. That would surprise me, especially because the Texans' defense is awesome. Both teams made interesting moves this week, moving on from defensive backs. So this is one where both teams know what's at stake if they lose it.
Bears take on the Raiders in Vegas. Both teams are 1-2, but the Bears have the momentum coming in off that big win over the Dallas Cowboys last week and a big day for Caleb Williams. How about Las Vegas? They've lost 6 of their last 7 games at home.
And I'm surprised by the Raiders the last couple of weeks. They don't really look good in any facet of it. The O-line, running the ball, Geno Smith, the defense. I really was expecting more than what we've seen from the Raiders the last couple of weeks. And for the Bears, gosh, that had to be an unbelievable fun game to watch for Bears fans. To watch Caleb Williams throwing the ball in the middle of the field, off of play action, looking like you're supposed to look when you're the quarterback of a Ben Johnson team. I think everybody's very anxious to see whether or not Caleb Williams can do it again this week.
Keep the NFL in reach all season long with NFL Plus Premium. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com/radio. Terms and conditions apply. Coming up, Ross is going to get you set for a double dose of Monday Night Football. You're listening to NFL Preview on Westwood One.
Stop your grinding with Brooks Night Guard.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. I ended up going to a dentist, and he wants to charge over $600 for a night guard. That's when I found the Brooks Night Guard. You mold it at home to the top or bottom teeth. Other mouth guards go all the way to the back, which allows the back teeth to touch. This is where most of the grinding and clenching occurs. The Brooks Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brooks Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Order your Brooks Night Guard today and get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to brooksnightguard.com and enter the code Brooks91. That's BRUX91.
Stop your grinding with Brooks Night Guard.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With NFL Plus, keep the NFL in reach. Stream live, local, and primetime games on mobile during the regular and postseason. NFL Network, including 7 exclusive live games, live game audio, and more. With NFL Plus Premium, watch every touchdown every Sunday afternoon during the regular season on NFL Red Zone. Never miss a game with game replays and track advanced analytics powered by Next Gen Stats with NFL Pro. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com/radio. Terms and conditions apply.
Join us on Monday for a special night of NFL action with 2 games to choose from. The Jets and Dolphins beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Bengals and Broncos. Listen on most of these same stations or via the live stream for free at westwood1sports.com or in the Westwood One Sports app. So it's becoming fairly common here for the next few weeks. We are going to see multiple Monday night games. The first one, Ross, the Jets and the Dolphins inside the AFC East. Both teams sitting at 0-3 coming into this game. Obviously desperate times for both of them to try to get a win.
It really is. I mean, you know, we talked about my game, which is the Titans and the Texans, a couple of 0-3 teams. You know, I've actually been, Scott, on an 0-5 team, and I've been on an 0-4 team. Interestingly, neither one of those teams finished with losing records. You know, we got to 8-8 in Washington in 0-1, and we got to 9-7 in Buffalo in 0-4. I think the Jets really thought they had that win based on Aaron Glenn dancing down the sideline after the blocked field goal was returned for a touchdown, but they weren't able to close it out, unfortunately, against the Bucs. And, you know, I thought the Dolphins showed some real growth last Thursday night in Buffalo against the Bills. I know they didn't get it done, but if it weren't for that Zach Sealer roughing the punter, they would have had the ball with a tie ball game with a chance to go take the lead. So I think both teams made strides in week 3. The key will be to see which team makes more strides here in week 4 and can get off the schneid and get their first victory on the season.
Cincinnati Bengals, wow, what a couple of weeks this has been. You lose your quarterback for a long time, then you go take it on the chin at Minnesota. And now, on Monday night, they've got to go to Denver to take on a Broncos team that only has 1 win at this point. This is a tough matchup for Cincinnati.
It is, and I don't think the Bengals or Jake Browning are as bad as they looked against the Vikings. I don't think that the Broncos are going to come out and have multiple defensive touchdowns like Isaiah Rodgers had for the Vikings against Cincinnati last week. But I also think the Broncos are a really good team. And if you've been paying attention, you know, they had an unfortunate ending against the Colts to lose that one. I think you can say a likewise unfortunate ending against the Chargers last week. I still think that they are a playoff team. You know, their defense is outstanding. I don't think Bo Nix has looked as good this year as he did last year. I'm not sure if they've put more on his plate or just it's an early in the season thing, but he's had some more issues this year than he had last year. But I agree. I think this is a really, really tough spot for Cincinnati to go in and try to get this win.
Well, Ross, enjoy your time in Houston this week, and we will talk to you again next week.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Scott.
That's going to do it for this edition of NFL Preview. Join us this weekend for Sunday Night Football. Ryan Racky, Mike Golick have all the action as the Cowboys host the Green Bay Packers. I'll kick off the broadcast with scores and highlights from around the league on NFL Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The producer of NFL Preview, Jordan Markovic, executive producer Mike Eby, the senior vice president of sports for Cumulus Media and Westwood One is Bruce Gilbert. Now for Ross Tucker, I'm Scott Graham. Thanks for joining us. You've been listening to NFL Preview on Westwood One.
Sports with Evan and Tiki. Afternoons from 2 to 7. WFAN, WFAN FM, WFAN FM HD1, New York, and Odyssey Sports Stations.
WFAN Sports Flash.
Good
morning at 7:59. I'm Tony Pierno. Giancarlo Stanton stayed hot on Saturday, belting his 24th home run of the season in the Yankees' 6-1 win over the Orioles. Stanton is now hitting .333 with 4 homers and 12 RBI over his last 7 games. Aaron Judge says Stanton is in playoff mode.
The guy's just been dialed. He knows when October is right around the corner, so he really started dialing in. But it's been fun to watch. It's all year. I know we missed him for a little bit of time, but he's come back and it's such a big part of our offense. And when there's a big spot, a big mo, we need a big hit. It's always Big G coming up.
Audio courtesy of the Yes Network. The Yankees and Blue Jays are tied atop the division heading into the final day of the regular season. The Yankees need a win and a Toronto loss to secure the AL East crown. Luis Gil is on the bump this afternoon for the Bombers against Kyle Bradish. First pitch on 6:60 a.m. is at 3:05. Meanwhile, the Mets are looking to avoid an epic collapse as they take on the Marlins. The Mets enter the day tied with the Reds for the National League's final wildcard spot. However, with Cincinnati holding the tiebreaker, the Mets need a victory and a Reds loss to qualify for the postseason. Sean Manaea will get the start in the finale against Edward Cabrera. First pitch is at 3:10 p.m. The Giants, seeking to jumpstart their offense, will turn to rookie QB Jackson Dart this afternoon as they take on the Los Angeles Chargers at MetLife Stadium. The Ole Miss product is ready for this opportunity.
The biggest thing for me is I want to do my best to be a spark. I want to create excitement on the field. I want to be explosive when opportunities are there, and try to just bring a little bit of swagger.
Kickoff today is at 1 o'clock with coverage here on The Fan beginning at 11 a.m. And at the Ryder Cup, Europe with a commanding lead over Team USA, 11.5 points to 4.5 points. 65 degrees under cloudy skies in Central Park, and that's what's happening. I'm Tony Pierno.
It's Sunday morning. Time to take a spin around the NFL. This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. Here's your host, Nick Kostos.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry Week 4 NFL Sunday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet on The Fan. Nick Kostos here with you for the next 60 minutes, talking all things betting and fantasy. Week number 4 in the National Football League. You can hit me up on Twitter at the Kostos, TheKostos. You can hit me up on Instagram as well at the Kostos, TheKostos. Posting betting content on Instagram as well, TheKostos. And the show is on Twitter at You Better You Bet. And the show presented today and always by the great people at BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. The phone number today to chime in on bets, on fantasy, on football, 888-808-1019, 888-808-1019. All right, you know how we do. Nick Kostos and you, each and every NFL Sunday morning here on The Fan. Side total and props for every game on the board in the fastest show in all of wagertainment. And it starts right now. And it begins with a greeting and a salutation. A top of the morning to you, lads and lasses. That was pretty offensive, right? I apologize to the Irish population out there watching and listening to the show. We are live on YouTube, on the WFAN YouTube page. Everybody can watch the show there if you would like. And if you're listening and you're Irish, I apologize for that terrible Irish accent. The reason why I gave it to you is because we will actually begin the Week 4 NFL Sunday edition of You Better You Bet on The Fan in Dublin. Because 90 minutes from now, we've got the NFL's first international Sunday morning game of the season with the Vikings and the Steelers. Now, Jets fans, you may be having a little PTSD right now because Pittsburgh's quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers played the Minnesota Vikings last year in an international game, that game in London. And it went so poorly for the Jets that Robert Saleh got fired after the game. So Jets fans, perhaps avert thine eyes. Aaron Rodgers, Sunday morning international game against Brian Flores defense. The Minnesota Vikings currently sitting at BetMGM, a 2.5-point favorite. And the total is 41. It does look like we may hit 3 at some point in between now and the next 90 minutes. The 2.5 is heavily juiced towards the Minnesota Vikings. Injury information in this game. Donovan Jackson, who's Minnesota's star first-round rookie guard, he is out for this game. That helps the Steelers' defensive line. And Andrew Van Ginkel, who Jets fans, of course, might remember. Do you remember Andrew Van Ginkel, pick 6? Aaron Rodgers last year. It was no fun. Unless you bet the Vikings. I didn't. I bet the Jets. Ryan Kelly returns for the Vikings, their star center. That is obviously good news for them. J.J. McCarthy is out. Carson Wentz gets another start. Jordan Addison back today for Minnesota. His 3-game suspension is done. Jordan Addison back in the lineup today for the Vikings, and perhaps in your fantasy football teams. Alex Highsmith is out for a while for the Steelers with a high ankle sprain. Otherwise, pretty healthy across the board for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think the way most people view this game, Steelers and Vikings, I think everyone's going to take a look at what we saw last week. With Minnesota absolutely nuking Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals. An incredible defensive performance. Isaiah, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood with 2 defensive touchdowns. Carson Wentz looks decent, and the Vikings win 48-10. So Minnesota looks great last week, first game without the injured J.J. McCarthy. While the Pittsburgh Steelers, they won last week. They beat the New England Patriots. But I think most people will say the Patriots lost the game as opposed to the Steelers winning the game. New England turning the ball over 5 times last week. And I had a small bet on the Steelers. I appreciated each and every one of those turnovers from the New England Patriots. And people remember, obviously, what happened last year with the Vikings and the Jets with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback against the Flores defense. And I think that has caused a bunch of support here for Minnesota, where we've been hanging out basically Minnesota 2.5 the whole week. But again, it looks like we will hit 3 at some point on this Sunday morning. Subjectively, and I say subjectively because I think the point spread of the game is fine. Now, if we get to 3, I don't think Minnesota should ever be a 3-point favorite. But Minnesota favored by less than 3, I think is a perfectly fair point spread. So now it's like, what's your opinion? What's your opinion of the game? You, the listener, you, the viewer. My opinion is that the Pittsburgh Steelers do deserve some credit defensively for what happened last week in the game against the Patriots. Like, yes, New England put the ball on the ground a bunch. Pittsburgh's also forcing these turnovers. They also sacked Drake May 5 times. TJ Watt finally got off the schneid. 2 sacks last week. How about Pittsburgh's stud first-round rookie defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, with a sack? You know, Angie's son. Which also, I guess, makes Jason Sehorn his dad. Funny how all of this works. Derek Harmon was a beast last week. He was awesome. And I think the Steelers' defense, which has not been great to start the year, please don't confuse what I'm saying, I think is actually being underrated heading into this game because everyone's focused on the 5 Patriots turnovers and how bad New England was putting the ball on the ground. How about we give some credit to the Steelers? And then we remember Minnesota's quarterback, Carson Wentz. And yes, Carson Wentz, Pete's brother. He fell off a long time ago. Boy. And yes, he looked good last week, but this guy has been, throughout the balance of his NFL career, a living, breathing, walking turnover. I would guess that Carson Wentz puts the ball in harm's way a couple times today. So here's what I want to do. I want to wait for all lives to be over. I want to wait to see if we get a 3. It's a good song. See if we can get a 3 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers plus 3, definite bet for yours truly. And if it doesn't go to 3, I'll just be honest, I'm probably still going to bet the Steelers. And that's my opinion. And you out there listening and watching, you can disagree. And for the Jets fans who want to say, well, look at how badly Aaron Rodgers played last year, I don't think this game gets away from the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers had 54 pass attempts last year in that game. Like, the way Arthur Smith calls this offense, I don't think Rodgers is sniffing 50. And if he does, the Steelers are going to get trucked. I don't think that's going to be the case. I do like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Prop bets. Oh, yeah. You know what it's time for? Austin 316 says, I just went over my receiving yards prop. And that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold Calvin Austin said so. Calvin Austin, tons of air yards from Aaron Rodgers. He's actually played just as well as DK Metcalf. And you know Metcalf is going to draw the lion's share of the attention. Stone Cold Calvin Austin. DTA. Don't trust anybody. And that's all I got to say about that. I think I hit all of Stone Cold's catchphrases. What? The things he likes to say. What? His favorite one-liners. What? You get the idea. Stone Cold Calvin Austin over 37.5 receiving yards. I do think that today is a monster Jaylen Warren day as well. If for those interested, 80.5 is his combined rushing receiving yards prop. I just wanted to offer that. I do like Jaylen Warren. I prefer Calvin Austin. I don't love the anytime touchdown prices in this game. We'll talk fantasy-wise about this game next segment here on You Better You Bet. But you know every week I like to play, and he's going to score one of these weeks. Darnell Washington, because he's 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot. He's at a huge price to score a touchdown. As always, the anytime touchdown bets, these are not meant to be big money bets. Beer or pizza money, little to win, a lot. All right, we move to the 1 o'clock slate on the East Coast. And we do have listeners all over the country, so I did want to say that. Shout out to them listening on the Odyssey app or perhaps watching on YouTube. The Texans, 0-3. A touchdown favorite at home against the 0-3 Tennessee Titans. Total in this game, 38.5. Which is, just think about that for a second. 38.5. Not great at all. Oh, and Rami, good job by Rami, who's producing the show, just sent me the actives and inactives. This is, whoa! Wow. Jaylen Warren inactive. This just came out 2 minutes ago. This is a surprise. We all expected Jaylen Warren to play. So this is a great job. Great job, guys. Jaylen Warren inactive today because of a knee injury he suffered this week, and Joey Porter Jr. is inactive as well. Thank you very much to Rami for sending that to me while I'm on the air here. That is a big-time surprise. We expected Warren to play. So we need to do another 2 minutes on this game. So Jaylen Warren is still listed right now at BetMGM in the anytime touchdown market. Kenneth Gainwell is likely to be Pittsburgh's #1 running back in the absence of Jaylen Warren. Caleb Johnson is there as well. Aaron Rodgers does not really trust Caleb Johnson in pass protection, so I think you will see Gainwell operate as the #1 running back. His anytime touchdown price right now at BetMGM, plus 400 for Kenneth Gainwell to score a touchdown. So I think that's a decent bet to make. Again, sometimes sportsbooks are slow to move here. Jaylen Warren is still listed in the anytime touchdown market at plus 150. Gainwell at plus 400. Caleb Johnson in the anytime touchdown market is plus 2,200. You would think that he's going to get some work today, even though he's kind of been in the doghouse. Remember, week 2 against the Seahawks, the kickoff bounced over his head. Seattle recovered it in the end zone for a touchdown. I'm going to end up sprinkling a little bit on Caleb Johnson. I'm going to have to wait to do it during the break. But Caleb Johnson plus 2,200. Kenneth Gainwell plus 400. And look, Warren's way better than the other guys here. So I still like the Steelers a little bit, but I have to acknowledge I like the Steelers a little bit less with Jaylen Warren out. Great job by Rami sending that to me. That is a surprise inactive here on Sunday morning. Jaylen Warren out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, now we get back to the Titans and the Texans, and we'll do more fantasy-wise about that game in about half an hour from now. This game's in Houston. J.C. Latham out for Tennessee, their big right tackle. Derek Stingley looks like he's going to play the #1 cornerback for the Houston Texans. A lot going on here in this game. Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans head coach. He's a disgrace. He might be the worst head coach in the history of the league. 3-17 through his first 20 games, worst win percentage ever. I think Rich Kotite and Ray Handley might coach circles around this guy. Doesn't know the rules and can't manage situational football. Other than that, I guess his dad coached in the NFL. Score 1 for nepotism. And for Houston, Nick Caley, their offensive coordinator, who some Jets fans wanted instead of Tanner Engstrand, he's been horrendous. He looks worse than Bobby Slowick. And C.J. Stroud looks like he's taken a step back. Now, there is something that's been injected into this game that adds a little bit of variance. Brian Callahan has handed the play-calling duties over to quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree. Hardigree while I burst into flames. Hardigree was the Raiders' interim play caller a couple years ago when Josh McDaniels got fired and Antonio Pierce was the interim coach. And the Raiders had some nice games down the stretch that year. Remember, they beat the Chiefs or played the Chiefs to a standstill late in that season. So Hardigree didn't do a bad job. And because of that, I think that if this goes up to 7.5 and no one wants to bet the Titans, I understand. Remember them? Houston's offense has been impotent to start this season. They can't get anything going on the ground, anything going through the air, and I get it. Cam Ward's been bad. The Titans are bad. At 7.5, that would be a bet for me on the Tennessee Titans. As far as yardage props go, Christian Captain Kirk returned last week for Houston. Promptly was rewarded with 8 targets. They are not using really either of their rookie receivers from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins or Jalen the First Noel. Christian Kirk over 37.5 receiving yards. Anytime touchdowns both on the Titans front. We had Chimere Dike, one of their rookie receivers, to score last week. We thought he scored on an end around on the goal line, but upon further review, they brought it back to the half-yard line and Tony Pollard scored. We can go back to the well with Chimere Dike. And then Chiga Okonkwo is Tennessee's starting tight end. But Gunnar Helm, their rookie tight end, had a bunch of targets last week. Helm's deep. Anytime touchdown today for the Tennessee Titans. All right, Falcons and the Commanders in Atlanta. Atlanta, a 2-point home favorite. Total in the game, 43.5. Jaden Daniels will miss another game. He's expected back next week for the Commanders. Terry McLaurin is out as well, as is Noah Brown. So Washington's starting quarterback is out, and their number 1 receiver, and arguably probably their number 3 with Debo as the 2, are all out for this game. Atlanta's shutdown corner A.J. Terrell is out, and honestly, this is not a bad game for him to miss because the Commanders don't have a true number 1 unless you consider, Fat Debo Samuel to be a true number 1 at this stage in his career. So this has been a really fun betting market all week, and we talked about this on You Better You Bet on Thursday. You can search You Bet wherever you find your podcast to subscribe to The Daily Show Monday through Friday on the BetMGM network, where on Thursday, we had one of my friends on, my buddy Pro Sports Bettor Rob Pizzola, and Rob made the case to bet the Commanders, or bet the Falcons when they were a dog in this game because the feeling was Jaden Daniels was going to miss. And then Daniels was ruled out, and now Atlanta is a 2-point favorite. And I think that the line of this game is just fine. I could understand people wanting to bet the Falcons. I am very concerned about Michael Penix Jr. And I loved Michael Penix Jr. coming into this year. He was atrocious last week against the Carolina Panthers. Honestly, if that game were in primetime, we might be talking about it the way we talk about that Josh Freeman Monday night game against the Giants like a decade ago. That's how bad it was for Michael Penix. The Penix was not mightier. And if you had to compare it to a body of water, I think you'd go with Lake Placid. Can Michael Penix Jr. get it turned around against the bad Commander secondary? Maybe. And Marcus Mariota was really good last week starting in place of Jaden Daniels. I've got no play on this game. If I had to play it, maybe a slight lean towards the over. But I think the opportunity to bet this game was a couple days ago, and that opportunity is now gone. With Jaden Daniels out, Marcus Mariota will start. Yardage prop. Now, this one depends on Penix getting the ball down the field, and you would hope that he's learned from last week's cluster F against Carolina, because we will load up today. When you get caught between the Mooney and New York City. Darnell Mooney over 40.5 receiving yards. The Commanders love giving up deep balls. Mooney's their deep ball receiver. I like Drake London as well, but I prefer Darnell Mooney. Anytime touchdowns in this game, I think, provide a bunch of opportunity with Terry McLaurin out and with Noah Brown out. And also, Commanders' number 2 tight end behind Zach Ertz, John Bates, is also out. So I have no idea who among these players will score, but I want to give you 4 names. There's rookie Jalen Lane, Nathan's son, adopted. He almost caught a touchdown last week, dropped a wide open ball in the end zone. So he did get an end zone target last week. There's Luke McCaffrey, Christian's brother. That's actually true. Chris Moore, saw some targets last week. And Ben Sinnott was Washington's second-round tight end last year. It's possible he'll see some more work with John Bates out behind Zach Ertz. I think Sinnott's was a tavern in Harry Potter. I'm a massive nerd. Shout out to all the Harry Potter fans out there. So I don't know who the right bet is from those guys, but I think there is opportunity for Lane, McCaffrey, Moore, or Sinnott. That's a hell of a law firm for the Washington Commanders. Bills and the Saints in Buffalo. Biggest point spread of the season. Buffalo, a 15.5-point favorite. The total in the game is 48. Buffalo still without defensive tackle Ed Oliver and linebacker Matt Milano. So the betting move in this game throughout the week has actually been on the underdog Saints. This was 16.5. Now we're 15.5. And the reason why that's the case, and I talked about this with BT and Sal when I joined them on Friday. I'm on with them every football Friday at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. The reason why the Saints have been bet is because, well, two reasons really. Number one, the Bills, like my daughter who's almost a year and a half, they play with their food. They take a big lead, and then they don't care, and they don't go pedal to metal or foot to throat, and they just choke games out. Like, they don't care about winning by 1,000,000 points. Also, the New Orleans Saints, and this makes me sick to say as a Knicks fan, Kellen Moore, New Orleans head coach, during training camp, showed the team highlights of the Indiana Pacers in the postseason, with the thought being that they want to be an up-tempo, run 1,000,000 plays, high-octane offense the way that the Pacers were. And honestly, saying that out loud feels like a war crime as a New York Knicks fan. A lot of bad memories from the NBA playoffs, the Eastern Conference Final. And the Bills don't run a ton of plays. They run a really slow offense, and they're awesome, obviously, because Josh Allen's so great. But if the Bills take a big lead, maybe they don't care, and the Saints are able to get back into the game. They run 1,000,000,000 plays, and Buffalo plays with its food. So that's why the Saints have been bet. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm passing the game, but just wanted to offer that out there. People are like, how could anyone like New Orleans, worst team in the league? That's the reason why people have been betting the New Orleans Saints. So pass for me here on this one. As props go, something to think about, and we'll talk about this as far as anytime touchdowns go. Spencer Rattler last week was pulled in favor of the second-round rookie Tyler Shuck when the Saints were getting annihilated by the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. They're 15.5-point road dogs here today. It should surprise no one if Rattler gets pulled for Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler does not finish this game. So if you love Buffalo in this game and you think this is an absolute demolition, here comes the axe, here comes the smasher. I think you should bet Rattler unders, with the thought being Tyler Shuck is going to play at some point in this game for the Saints. The yardage prop that I want to make, though, we saw a usage chain, and I want to shout out Nate Janke from Pro Football Focus, who does an amazing job with player utilization and snap count, stuff of that nature. Ty Johnson last Thursday night against Miami, in that game that feels like it was a month ago, started playing as the number 2 tight end. He's playing ahead of Ray Davis, behind James Cook. I want to play Ty Johnson, Ty $, over 2.5 receiving yards, like Ty Johnson anytime touchdown as well. And because I'm a sicko, I track NFL preseason stats, and I love looking at this stuff. Tyler Shuck threw a deep touchdown in the preseason to Mason Tipton. If Shuck comes into this game, take a look, and there's live touchdown markets open. Mason Tipton, he's about 25-1 right now at BetMGM, if you like that angle for the New Orleans Saints. Lions and the Browns in Detroit. And I'm going to do a refresh of my screen here, because this line was on the move about right before we came on the air, so I want to see where we're at. All right, we are still Lions a 10-point favorite, total 44.5. It looks like we are going to come off 10 potentially and go down to 9.5. So Cleveland is the side of betting interest right now, with the number being a full 10. The Browns obviously off the crazy upset last week in Green Bay, or against the Packers. Game was in Cleveland. And if you had the Packers in Survivor, I would say I feel sorry for you, but I didn't have them. And it's great that you got eliminated because it gives me a better chance to win. Just being honest. Myles Garrett looks like he's on another world right now. He's playing absolutely outstanding football. Can he get to Jared Goff with how well this Lions offensive line has looked outside of week 1 against Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers? The Lions run game on Monday night. It's one of the reasons why I like Detroit to cover, and Detroit on the money line on Monday night against Baltimore. The Ravens' defense is horrible up the middle, and you can run on Baltimore. I don't know if the Lions are going to be able to run on Cleveland here. Rookie first-round defensive tackle Mason Graham had his best game as a pro last week. Malik Collins was amazing last week in the middle of Cleveland's defensive line. Now, I'm not going to make the case for the Browns to win. And remember last week I told you why people were betting the Browns against the Packers. I didn't necessarily like the bet, but I can see why people were betting the Browns. The reason why the Lions have been bet out from 8.5 to 10 is because of pessimism that the Browns offense can score enough to keep up. I've got pessimism that the Lions can score enough to win this game by margin against this Browns defense. So a lean for me. I have not made the bet. Maybe I will before kickoff. Browns plus 10 would be my choice in this game. And you can disagree, and I'm wrong all the time, right? Here's the betting advice that I would give, though. That is definitely good betting advice. If you like Detroit, find a 9.5 and lay 9.5. If you like Cleveland, please bet plus 10 and give yourself the best chance to win. Yardage props. The name is Bond. Isaiah Bond. Rookie wide receiver for Cleveland. Terrible allegations against him, and I don't know how this is playing out in a court of law, but he was undrafted. The thought was he would be a second-round pick. He's on the Browns now, and he's starting to cut into not just Jamari Thrash, the third receiver, but Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman as well. Isaiah Bond, over 14.5 receiving yards. We'll play Isaiah Bond anytime touchdown, and Isaac Tesla anytime touchdown as well for Detroit. We'll talk more about Tesla in the fantasy segment later in the show. To New England for the Patriots and the Panthers in Foxborough. Patriots, 5.5-point home favorites. Total in the game, 43. Tet McMillan and Chuba Hubbard both expected to play for Carolina. No Xavier Legette for the Panthers. I think that's a plus. He's horrible. And no Jatavian Sanders at tight end for Carolina. Tommy, I knew you were tremble when you walked in. Will be the Panthers' number 1 tight end. For the Patriots, Christian Gonzalez, their star corner, is finally expected to make his season debut here. Not a speedy return for him. I love the Patriots in this game. I bet the Patriots last Sunday night. Line was 4.5. Myself and 2 of my crew members from You Better You Bet, my co-host Femi Abebefe and Tyler, our technical director, we split one of the big Vegas Survivor entries. We have the Patriots in Survivor. So I love the Patriots this week. I'm willing to say that the Panthers' 30-0 win last week against the Falcons was way more about Michael Penix and Atlanta than it was about Carolina. Bryce Young's been brutal on the road in his NFL career, and I think the Patriots are sitting on a big offensive performance in this game. Patriots minus 5.5, one of my favorite bets of the day. And look, if you're out there listening and watching and you think I'm crazy, bet Carolina. You can be right, I could be wrong, but I like the Patriots in this game. I don't like any yardage props. If I had to play one, I would take a look at Drake. It's gonna be May, over 25.5 rushing yards, but I don't really love any of them. Anytime touchdowns, let's take a look at Mitchell Evans. So he's one of Carolina's, he's a rookie tight end for Carolina. He's going to play a lot in addition to Tommy Tremble. His brother's name is Ness. Mitchell Evans, anytime touchdown for the Panthers. And for the Patriots, I want to take a shot at Kyle Williams, their rookie receiver who's starting to play more and is getting talked up by Mike Vrabel. Now, I'll talk about the Patriots' run game in the fantasy segment, but I'd like to play Travion Henderson, their rookie out of Ohio State. Not to score 1 touchdown, but to score 2 and 3 touchdowns in this game against a bad Panthers defensive front that's allowing 6 yards per carry. So Henderson, 2 and 3 touchdowns today against Carolina. All right, Giants fans, let's talk about our team. The LA Chargers, 6.5-point road favorites at Big O. This number's down to 6. So early betting action this morning, literally in the last 20 minutes while I've been on the air here, has been on the Giants. We are off 6.5 and we are down to 6, which was going to be the Russell Wilson number. I think bettors have correctly identified that there's no difference between Dart and Wilson, and Dart's probably going to be better because how could you be worse? Chargers minus 6, total bet down to 43.5. Mekhi Becton out on the Chargers offensive line. Tight end Will Dissly out for the Chargers. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy going to miss some time for the Giants. Cam Scatterbo will be the number 1 running back. Just as a Giants fan, from the fan perspective, and I'll do the bets in a second, I'm pretty conflicted here Because obviously, like, we want Jackson Dart to be good. We as Giants fans, we want Dart to be good. I really believe that Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen have to go. And I've been consistent on that for a long time. And if Dart's good, it means that they're going to stay. So, like, I don't want to root against Jackson Dart. I mean, the needle that I'd love to thread is for Dart to be good, but the team to be bad enough that Daboll and Shane get fired. And if you're a Giants fan and you think I'm crazy and you want the team to win games, I understand. I think it's for the betterment, the long-term health of this franchise to get a new coach and a new general manager in place. But obviously, we want the kid to be good. We want Jackson Dart to be good. Betting-wise here, I said this on Friday with BT and Sal. I think if you're betting this game, you either should bet Chargers alternates, Chargers minus 9.5, 13.5, or just bet the Giants to win. Like, forget about the points. Just bet the Giants to win. Jackson Dart, we have no idea how good or bad he is. He's good in the preseason. That's preseason. Now it's the Chargers defense. Maybe he's awesome. Like that, it's possible that he's going to be awesome. It's also possible that this is going to go really poorly. And my sense is, just from talking to people way smarter than me with X's and O's, that Brian Daboll is likely to run here like a college gimmicky kind of offense. Because that's where Dart came from. Ole Miss. Did you watch the Ole Miss game yesterday against LSU? Like, Lane Kiffin runs like not a pro-style offense, a college offense. And that's kind of the offense that they ran in the preseason, right? Less of like the Daboll scheme that you saw with Russell Wilson and more like what you saw Daboll run in the preseason with Jackson Dart. Now, consider that the Chargers defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, was the Michigan defensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh a couple years ago when Michigan won the national title. So Jesse Minter knows college offenses really well and pro offenses really well. So it's either going to be Dart's awesome and the Giants' defensive front pressures Herbert the way that the Broncos did last week, and no one's talking about that because Bo Nix missed 3 wide open touchdowns, jerk, and cost me some money, pushed on Broncos +3, or the Giants aren't going to be able to score and the Chargers kill them. So I leave that up to you, the listener, you, the viewer, to decide what you want to do. Choose your own adventure. I'd like to turn to page 69 and see the Giants win outright. I don't have a lot of faith in that happening. The game is a pass for me. I think the Chargers win big or the Giants just win and not much in between. Yardage props. Malik, won't you be my neighbors? 64.5 receiving yards. No way. Not with Jackson Dart. They're going to force him the ball. Neighbors over 64.5 receiving yards. Anytime touchdowns. Jackson Dart in training camp had a nice rapport with Bo Collins. Let's play Bo Collins for a small bet to score a touchdown. And with Najee Harris out for the season for the Chargers, our old pal from last year who catched a long shot anytime touchdown bet for us, Kamani Vidal-Sassoon. You don't look good. We don't look good. Kamani Vidal, anytime touchdown for the Bolts. Eagles and the Bucs in Tampa. Philly, a 3.5-point road favorite. That is the number right now at BetMGM. The total is 44. Adoree Jackson is doubtful. That might be good for the Eagles. Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs expected to both play and make their season debuts today for Tampa. Mike Evans out with the hamstring injury, likely for a couple weeks. So we have seen in the Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni tenure in Philadelphia, the Bucs have had their number. The Philly is 1-4 against Tampa, and Tampa's beaten them a couple times in the playoffs. One of those games was with Tom Brady, and then a couple years ago with Baker Mayfield in the wild card round following the 23 season. Now, I am of the opinion, it makes me sick as a Giants fan to say this, but I need to be very honest with you, the audience, you, the listeners, you, the viewers. It feels to me like the Eagles, and I'm 42, I shouldn't be using phrases like this, but I will, that they've kind of leveled up mentally. And we saw that last week in the second half against the Rams, where the offense could have gone into a shell like they did in 23 with the struggles, but then they came out and bombed the Rams in the second half and ended up winning the game thanks to the block kick return for a touchdown at the end. If you bet the Eagles, that was an awesome result. If you bet the Rams, I'm very, very sorry. So I don't think the Bucs are going to have that kind of mental stranglehold on the Eagles the way that they have. So full disclosure, and I talked about this on You Bet or You Bet on Monday, literally. Search You Bet where you find your podcasts. I laid Eagles -3 on Sunday night. I like the matchup for Philly, the on-field handicap. We're at 3.5 now. If I had to do something for pick'em pools, I'd take the Eagles, maybe Eagles and moneyline parlays. I don't like the Bucs in this matchup. I do like Philadelphia. Yardage props. It's been a rough start to the season for Saquon Barkley, Ken's brother. And the Bucs do have a good run defense. Now, you don't have to make this bet. I'm going to. Saquon's rushing yards number is 76.5. It's so low. I'd like to take a shot on his over today. Anytime touchdowns. So a couple of them from the Tampa perspective. So with Mike Evans out, my expectation is Emeka Egbuka will play one outside receiver slot. Chris Godwin will likely be on the other. And then we will see former Giant Sterling Shepard in the slot. The backups to those three receivers are Tez Johnson and Ryan Miller, former Buffalo Sabres goalie. I would take a shot on one of those, whoever you like better, Tez Johnson or Ryan Miller. Rams and the Colts in Los Angeles. Rams, 3.5-point favorites total, 49.5. The juice here is towards the Colts, so maybe we come down to 3. Devontae Adams is expected to play for the Rams. Colts star slot corner Kenny Moore is out, as is Colts starting outside wide receiver Alec Pierce. So I bet Colts plus 3.5 early in the week. As the week has gone on, I feel less confident in that bet. But I do think Indy's offense with Daniel Jones, which is just sickening, right, for a Giants fan, is good enough to score on this Rams defense and at least keep this game close, even if they don't win. But I am very concerned about the Kenny Moore absence. I think Puka Nacua will absolutely smash here. But I do have faith in Shane Steichen calling the plays for Indy. Jonathan Taylor-Thomas looks like one of the best running backs in the league and is your offensive player of the year favorite. He's been unbelievable. So I do like the Colts plus 3.5. Do I love it? No. But my bet's been in for a couple days already. So I am on Indianapolis. If you like the Rams, honestly, you can wait. This might go down to -3 and you can lay 3 with the LA Rams. Yardage props. I love me some A.D. Mitchell. He will start for the Colts at wide receiver with Alec Pierce out. A.D. Mitchell over 29.5 receiving yards. And man, Puka Shell Nacua. With Kenny Moore out, I don't know how. No team can stop him. He's going to run wild in this game. His receiving yards prop is 92.5. I think the first digit needs to be a 1. And I think you can look at Puka alternates potentially also. Love Puka Nacua in this game. The anytime touchdown prices all suck, candidly. If you can find decent numbers on Jordan Whittington and A.D. Mitchell, I think that they are worth looks. Niners and the Jaguars in the Bay Area. San Francisco, in between a 3 and 3.5-point home favorite. The number is 3.5. It is juiced towards the Jaguars. Total 46.5. Brock Purdy is back for San Francisco. He will start at quarterback. For everyone in fantasy football, Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings are both expected to play per NFL Insider overnight reports. Pearsall and Jennings both going to play per Insider reports. They are both listed as questionable. Nick Bosa out for the season for the Niners with a torn ACL. San Fran 6-12 all time without Nick Bosa. Fascinating betting market in this game. I think the Niners might smash. But what if Jacksonville's offense puts it all together and Brian Thomas Jr. catches the ball and Travis Hunter knows where he's supposed to line up and Bashal Rootin' Tootin' gets going on the ground? Maybe the Jaguars can keep it close. I'm not going to bet this game. If I had to bet it, I would lay 49ers -3. Find a 3 to lay with the Niners. A lot of these sharp bettors that I deal with, either guests on my show or people I talk to off air that do this professionally, they do like the Jaguars. So I just want to throw that out there for context. I like the Niners a little bit. They like Jacksonville. You, the listener, you, the viewer, do whatever the hell you want. Yardage prop. I'm going to make this bet. It will make you sick just to hear me say it out loud. And honestly, my stomach hurts, probably because I've had a coffee on an empty stomach. But still, this one sucks. I want to play on Brian Thomas Jr. here. And he's got the yips. So did Marvin Harrison Jr. until the fourth quarter last Thursday night against Seattle. He did have that 46-yard catch and run at the end of the game last week against Houston. The number is so low, I'll play it, and maybe I'm wrong, and he drops a ton of passes. It's possible. So only make this bet if you like it and you've got the stomach to make it. Brian Thomas Jr. over 57.5 receiving yards. Game of the week. Ravens and the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Loser of this game will drop to 1-3, which just feels crazy. And just before we talk about the game itself, whichever team loses this game, I think is a bet on to make the playoffs at 1-3. Now, the Ravens, if the Ravens lose, they're still going to be favored to win the AFC North, which is crazy. But I do think that whoever loses this game is still going to make the playoffs and is worth checking out in those markets after the game. Baltimore, a 2.5-point road favorite, total 48.5. Isaiah Likely will make his season debut for the Ravens at tight end. Nnamdi Madubuike out for Baltimore on their defensive line, and he's awesome. That matters. Xavier Worthy, James's son. He is back for Kansas City for the first time since week 1. Obviously, field-stretching former first-round wide receiver. So the Ravens are favored here, right? And they should be. And I acknowledge Baltimore should be favored. And a lot of people doing betting content love the Baltimore Ravens in this game. Here's what I'll say. The Baltimore Ravens are the sultans of spreadsheets, the excellence of EPA, the dominators of DVOA. If you have any kind of advanced statistical metric, it tells you that the Ravens are better than the 85 Bears. If games were played on a computer screen, the Ravens would never lose. But they're not. They're played on the field. And the worst unit in this game is not the Chiefs' offense. It's the Ravens' defense. And you can feel the anxiety practically dripping off Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh when they get into these big spots. So I'm betting the Chiefs while acknowledging the Ravens could win this game 31-14. It's not impossible that could happen. They're good enough that could happen, but I don't trust them. I'm betting the Chiefs plus the 2.5, and I'll take them on the money line, and I'll take Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson any day of the week twice on a Sunday in late September. Yardage props. Rashad Bateman over 32.5 receiving yards. Anytime touchdowns. Tylan Wallace, Christopher's son, for Baltimore, running a ton of routes every week for the Ravens as their third receiver. And for Kansas City, desperately got to get some explosion at the running back position. Maybe they look to rookie Brashard Smith. So Brashard Smith to score 1 and 2 touchdowns in this game for KC. Raiders and the Bears in Las Vegas. Raiders, a 1.5-point home favorite. Total is 48. Grady Jarrett, TJ Edwards, Jalen Johnson all out for the Bears on defense. Slot corner Kyler Gordon questionable. Right tackle Darnell Wright out for the Bears. Michael Mayer out for the Raiders, so it'll be Brock Bowers' time. DeAndre Swift is expected to play for Chicago. He's questionable. Colston Loveland is expected to miss this game for the Bears. So, when you're single, at least this was the case for me, you encounter some slumps in your romantic life. And maybe you're one of those people that didn't. God bless you. I certainly encountered my shares. I'm like Joey Gallo up there hacking sometimes. And sometimes you gotta bust that slump. And you're out at the bar. It's 2:30 in the morning. And maybe you see someone, this goes for girls or guys, and this person is not like your ideal match, whatever. But you gotta do what you gotta do. The slump buster. The Dallas Cowboys are the NFL's slump buster. Caleb Williams and the Bears offense last week looked like the greatest offense of all time because they were playing the Cowboys. Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards in week 2 and then was so bad in week 3 he got benched because they were playing the Dallas Cowboys. Where am I going with this? Pride and poise. Commitment to excellence. Just cover, baby. Give me the Raiders to win the game today. Minus 110 on the money line. I don't want to mess around with the points. Raiders money line today against the Chicago Bears. Yardage props. Last week we played the over on this running back ended hit. We're going back to the well here against the bad Bears defensive front. She got a thing for that Gucci, that Genti, that Prada, that BCBG Burberry, Dolce & Gabbana. Ashton Genti over 67.5 rushing yards. Anytime touchdowns with Michael Mayer out. Johnson, Carter Runyon. Michael Strahan just beat him for a sack. Carter Runyon, anytime touchdown for the Las Vegas Raiders. And we close this segment. Sunday Night Football in Dallas. Packers and Micah Parsons visiting the Cowboys. Green Bay. So we were at 7, now we're down to 6.5. Green Bay, a 6.5-point road favorite in Dallas, total 46.5. CeeDee Lamb out for Dallas. Cooper Beebe and Tyler Booker out on the Dallas offensive line. The Packers are down 2 of their starting 5 offensive linemen. Those same 2 linemen were out week 2 against Washington, and you couldn't tell they were out. I'd love to make a case for the Cowboys here as a huge home dog in primetime. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. I think this is explosive play heaven for Jordan Love and the Packers. Honestly, I'm going to pass this game, I think. If I had to bet it, I would lay the 6.5 with Green Bay. 1 yardage prop, Tucker Kraft over 44.5 receiving yards. Love loves targeting Tucker Kraft, the cheese slice, down the field for explosives. Tucker Kraft over receiving yards. And then Ryan Flournoy, who's going to play for Dallas at wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb out. Flournoy anytime touchdown. And Packers number 2 tight end, John Fitzpatrick, Ryan's son, anytime touchdown for Green Bay. Take a quick break, and coming up next, fantasy football breakdown for every game and a deeper dive into props. 888-808-1019 is the number. 888-808-1019. It's You Better You Bet on the Fan with me, Nick Kostos, and you, whoever the hell you are, presented by BetMGM.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/play. That's ethos.com/play.
Morning, Zoe. Got donuts.
Jeff Bridges, why are you still living above our garage?
Well, I dig the mattress, and I want to be in a T-Mobile commercial like you. Teach me, Saldana.
Oh, no, I'm not really prepared. I couldn't possibly. At T-Mobile, get the new iPhone 17 Pro on them. It's designed to be the most powerful iPhone yet and has the ultimate pro camera system.
Wow, impressive. Let me try. T-Mobile is the best place to get iPhone 17 Pro because they've got the best network.
Nice, Jeffrey.
You heard them. T-Mobile is the best place to get the new iPhone 17 Pro on us with eligible trade-in in any condition.
So, what are we having for lunch?
Dude, my work here is done.
24 monthly bill credits on experience beyond for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off earlier. Cancel. Finance agreement iPhone 17 Pro 256 gigs, $1,099.99 and new line minimum $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data 1/8/2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Morning, Zoe. Got donuts.
Jeff Bridges, why are you still living above our garage?
Well, I dig the mattress, and I want to be in a T-Mobile commercial like you. Teach me, Saldana.
Oh, no, I'm not really prepared. I couldn't possibly. At T-Mobile, get the new iPhone 17 Pro on them. It's designed to be the most powerful iPhone yet and has the ultimate pro camera system.
Wow, impressive. Let me try. T-Mobile is the best place to get iPhone 17 Pro because they've got the best network.
Nice, Jeffrey.
You heard them. T-Mobile is the best place to get the new iPhone 17 Pro on us with eligible trade-in in any condition.
So, what are we having for lunch?
Dude, my work here is done.
24 monthly bill credits on experience beyond for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off earlier. Cancel. Finance agreement iPhone 17 Pro 256 gigs, $1,099.99 and new line minimum $100 plus a month plan with auto pay plus taxes and fees required. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data 1/8/2025. Visit T-Mobile.com.
Talk New York sports on the Fan.
Sean Aries has arrived.
Hostiles. Repeat, we have hostiles. Mayday.
Oh my God, there's hundreds of them.
On October 10th,
we came here from the digital world.
The war for our world begins.
What in God's name is that?
In IMAX.
This is the end for this world.
No, it's not. But I can help you.
Sean Aries, rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. Only in theaters October 10th. Get tickets now.
Diving for that grounder got you grounded? We've got specialists for that. Layup, take you down? We've got specialists for that. With 45 Castle Connolly top doctors, Orland & Cohen specialists are considered among the best in the nation by their peers, which can mean a better outcome for you. From Staten Island to Southampton, our network is open 7 days a week, so you can feel better, faster. Visit OrlandCohen.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
It's Sunday morning. Time to plug into everything NFL. Time for your best bets and fantasy fix. It's time for You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM. Here's your host, Nick Kostos.
Yes, indeed. Nick Kostos here with you on the Fan. Another 10 minutes on this glorious Week 4 NFL Sunday. We'll hand the baton over to my buddy, the great Moose, Mark Malusis, for Football Sunday. Then 888-808-1019 is the number. Maybe we'll sneak some in. Candidly, maybe we won't. We will see. All right. Fantasy and prop betting breakdown for every game. Now, as we dive deep. How deep? We'll start with the Vikings and the Steelers. Kickoff 40 minutes from now in Dublin. And in case you missed it earlier in the show, this one was a surprise. Jaylen Warren is inactive for the Steelers today. If you've got him in fantasy, get him out of your lineup. He is not playing today for the Steelers, was announced as a surprise inactive when those came out at the top of the show. And again, great job by Rami getting me that information while we were on the air. Kenneth Gainwell will be the Steelers' number one running back. Rookie Caleb Johnson is going to play as well. If you had to pick one, so like you're in a pickle, you've got Warren in fantasy, what do I do? If Gainwell's out there on the waiver wire, like you can pick him up and start him. I think he will be the Steelers' number one running back. And the reason why I say that with confidence is because Aaron Rodgers does not, the reports, the reason why Caleb Johnson isn't playing and Gainwell is because Rodgers doesn't trust Caleb Johnson in pass protection. We know that with Rodgers and young players. Throughout the course of his career, that's been the case. So Gainwell, if he's out there, if you've got Warren, I think that's a good one-for-one replacement. Get Jaylen Warren out of your fantasy lineups if he is in them. Otherwise, if you need Jordan Addison, he's back today for the Vikings. You can start him. TJ Hawkinson got off the schneid last week. Didn't catch a touchdown. In fact, the backup tight end, Josh Oliver Twist, did. But Hawkinson showed you something last week to remain in fantasy lineups. Jordan Mason remains a smash as the Vikings RB1 with Aaron Jones on IR for Minnesota. Titans and the Texans. I guess, you probably have to start Calvin Ridley. But if you have a better option, I think you can consider benching him today. Likely to see shadow coverage from Texans' number one corner, Derek Stingley. Now, make sure you're checking actives and inactives prior to kickoff because Stingley is questionable. He is expected to play per insider reports, but things can change. If he plays, I'm lowering my expectations big time for Calvin Ridley. And I do like the Titans' two rookie receivers, especially as the season goes along, Alec Ayamaner and Chimere Dike. Also want to throw this out there. I said this last week. Tyjae Spears. I was reading a Titans beat report this morning. He's expected to be activated off IR in the next couple days. I don't know if that means he's playing next week. Remember, he started the year on IR. When he's back, he's going to be the 1B in this backfield behind Tony Pollard. And for the Texans, the only thing I'm looking for here is Woody Marks going to start playing ahead of Nick Chubb? And when are we going to see the two Texans rookie receivers, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, both play more? Because when that happens, both will become fantasy viable and can help this offense get to the next level. It hasn't happened yet, but Higgins and Noel, the first, watch for them today. Commanders and the Falcons. Mentioned this earlier with anytime touchdowns. Jalen Lane Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott. I all think are interesting prop-wise and anytime touchdown-wise. You can't start any in fantasy. But with Terry McLaurin on the shelf, he might be out a couple of weeks. One of these guys may emerge as a pass-catching target for Marcus Mariota today, and obviously Jaden Daniels when he is back. Saints and the Bills. It is possible that Chris Olave, as far as Dean Martin songs go, On an Evening in Roma is my favorite. Volare is second. Olave might get spam targets today. I just think it's so hard to trust anyone on the Saints. Keep an eye out for Kendre Miller. There are rumors that the Saints will deal Alvin Kamara at some point before the trade deadline. They're really bad, and Kamara can go to a team that could use him. Also, like I said earlier, if Spencer Rattler's terrible and the Bills are blowing that ass out, I think you'll see Tyler Shuck play in this game, the Saints' second round rookie quarterback. And I don't know how that's going to change things for the Saints offense, but just something to consider. And while Dalton Kincaid has been awesome this season for Buffalo, just keep in mind he's not playing that many snaps. And I was reading Evan Silva, my buddy on Establish the Run, great fantasy website. He mentioned Kincaid as a good sell high candidate. I tend to agree with my buddy, Evan. Browns and the Lions. Quinshon Judkins looks like an absolute beast. Cleveland's number one running back, the second rounder out of Ohio State. What we're watching for with Detroit, at number 3 receiver, right now, Khalif Raymond, everyone loves him, and Isaac Tesla, a lot of people hate Tesla, are basically competing for the Lions' number 3 receiving spot. They're playing like identical snaps. Tesla's way better than Raymond. And when it happens that Tesla's getting all the snaps, he needs to be owned in every league. That hasn't happened yet. It may happen today. Patriots and the Panthers. So I mentioned earlier the Patriots running back group, and then I'd break it down here. So last week, Ramondre Stevenson put the ball on the ground twice. Antonio Gibson fumbled also. Travion Henderson is waiting in the wings to absolutely explode. The Panthers are allowing 6 yards per carry this season. It's possible, and Mike Vrabel said that they're not going to punish Stevenson this game. Who knows if he's telling the truth? NFL coaches lie. Then maybe this is a Ramondre monster game. I want to bet on Travion Henderson here in the anytime touchdown market to score 2 and 3 touchdowns today. And if you've got Travion in fantasy, start him, but be prepared that this could be prepared. Shout out to Scar. That this could maybe be a Ramondre game. I think it's going to be a Travion game, but who the hell knows with these NFL coaches? Chargers and the Giants. You are starting Cam Scatterboo with confidence with Tyrone Tracy obviously out for a couple weeks. Scatterboo looked awesome on Sunday night against the Chiefs. If you need Jackson Dart in a 2-quarterback format, I wouldn't hate that. And for the Chargers with Hassan Haskins now the number 2 behind Omari and Hampton with Najee Harris out, Kamani Vidal becomes the number 3. Eagles and the Bucks. Sterling Shepard, I think, could be usable in PPR leagues today, in deeper leagues. He will be the slot wide receiver. Might see a lot of Cooper DeJean, but Sterling Shepard should be viable today. If you need Chris Godwin, I guess you can start him, but I don't know what this is going to look like. Now, it's possible that Quinyon Mitchell, Philly's excellent number 1, will shadow Emeka Egbuka, which means it could be Godwin on a terrible cornerback. So I think Godwin could have a good game, but it's his first game back after a couple surgeries. So I don't know how this is going to look for Chris Godwin. Colts and the Rams, I'm playing A.D. Mitchell overs. I don't think you can start him in fantasy, but I do love me some A.D. Mitchell, and I think Puka Nacua absolutely smashes. Jags and the Niners. Jacksonville's offense has been a huge frustration this year. San Francisco's defense is not that great. Maybe we see Travis Hunter get off the schneid. I don't think you can start Travis Hunter in fantasy until he shows you that he can do something. BTJ, though, needs to be locked into lineups. He could explode at any moment. And again, for San Francisco, both Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings are expected to play. Brock Purdy will start for San Francisco. Ravens and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs need to use their rookie 7th-round running back, Brashard Smith. That's my opinion. I have no factual data that says they're going to, other than that Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco both look like they're running in quicksand. I think we may see Brashard Smith. That's my opinion. I can be wrong. I'm playing Brashard Smith in the anytime touchdown market. Bears and the Raiders. I think you can start like everyone in this game. DeAndre Swift is expected to play. Colston Loveland is not for Chicago. Cole Kmet will be the Bears' number 1 tight end. And for the Packers and the Cowboys, I think this could be the Matthew Golden eruption game. And I think Tucker Kraft could erupt as well for Green Bay against a terrible Cowboys defense. And for the Cowboys, I'm looking at Kevontae Turpin to potentially exceed expectations tonight. I love me some Kevontae Turpin. Quick thoughts tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. The Jets and the Dolphins will play in the first of the doubleheader tomorrow night. The Dolphins right now are close to being a full 3-point home favorite. The number at BetMGM is 2.5 minus 120. We are close to going to Dolphins minus 3. If and when we get there, and honestly, I don't even care if we get there or not. I think the Jets are going to win tomorrow night. I think Miami is fool's gold. I think this Mike McDaniel's on thin ice. I actually trust the Jets more with Justin Fields back in the lineup. I like the Jets tomorrow night to win on the road in Miami. And just to get a little baseball into the show. Go Yankees, go Rays. Let's get that number 1 seed and win the AL East, that number 1 spot. And even though I'm a Yankee fan, let's make things interesting. Let's go Mets today and hope the Cincinnati Reds lose. And that does it for the Week 4 NFL Sunday edition of You Better You Bet on the Fan. Search You Bet wherever you find your podcasts for the weekday edition of the show. And you can follow me on Instagram at the Kostos, TheKostos. So until we meet again, dear listener and dear viewer, in this time slot, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, I am Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, and the absolute very best of luck. Mark Malusis coming up next. Let's get it today. Week 4 NFL Sunday.